From the popularity of the re-release of Jaws earlier this year, it is clear that a lot of the movies that were ahead of their time did not get the love that they deserve from audiences. A lot of movies would still be popular and gain traction if they were re-released today. Join as we look at 10 such revolutionary films that deserve cinematic re-releases. Firstly, Singing in the Rain. Even though they've been around for a long time, movie musicals still don't always score big with the general public. Movies such as La La Land and Grease have garnered a lot of love from a variety of audiences. On the other hand, there isn't another movie musical that can compare to the prestige of Singing in the Rain. The motion picture was first shown in theaters in 1952 and received some positive reviews. Nevertheless, its reputation has significantly improved since then. Singing in the Rain is a hit with customers and provides entertainment for multiple generations of the same family. On the other hand, it is recommended to watch it on a large screen. Its amazing sights require a cinema screen, and its music deserves a silver screen's oral quality. This is especially appropriate considering that Singing in the Rain is about the film industry in general. Then we have Die Hard. Action movies have always been very popular, but over the years, they've experienced a great many shifts in tone and style. In the 1980s and earlier, action movies were quite different from what they are today, since they often starred well-known celebrities in the roles of unstoppable heroes. The heroes were absurdly ripped, while the bad guys were wiped out in droves. The formula for mainstream action movies may be traced back to John McTiernan's Die Hard. The film's protagonist is a vulnerable and approachable man who endures adversity throughout the course of the story. His feelings, doubts, and shortcomings are all important components of the narrative. Die Hard has had a significant impact on popular culture, and the film itself is of high enough quality to warrant a second go on the big screen. Next up, Halloween. The popularity of slasher flicks have gone up and down over the course of their history. They went from being cutting edge to becoming cliche to becoming self-aware, and sometimes they disappeared from the public spotlight as a result. Regardless of how well the horror subgenre as a whole has succeeded, there is one movie that has always been a fan favorite: John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978. Even if it wasn't the very first slasher film ever made, Halloween is definitely the most impactful of them all. It takes cues from Psycho and Black Christmas, focusing on a steady buildup of tension that is intercut with gory scenes of murder, and it follows a similar structure. Halloween is largely responsible for the development of slasher films and the horror genre as a whole, and deserves a rerun in cinemas. Following that, Tron. Every aspect of filmmaking is continually being refined. Because of the success of newly developed methods of storytelling and genres, the technical and skill-based aspects of the trade continue to develop. As a result of its near-identical realism to practical effects and widespread adoption in the film industry, special effects have become an integral component of the production of movies in the modern era. It's possible that audiences will pick up some helpful background from Tron, even by today's standards. The film's use of visual effects was groundbreaking when it was released in 1982, since it combined live performers with computer-generated visuals. There have been a lot of movies that owe a lot to Tron, even ones that aren't in the science fiction category. The audience may also appreciate the opportunity to witness how far visual effects have progressed over the past 4 decades. Also, if nothing else, just replay Tron Legacy so we can listen to that Daft Punk score in cinemas again. After that, Alien. Both horror and science fiction are typically neglected as genres of fiction. Many people believe them to be a low cultural level and immature. However, there are a number of movies from both categories that are regarded as absolute cinematic classics. Several movies have been responsible for this, but very few had as big of an impact on both genres as Alien did. When it was first released in 1979, the picture Alien was met with mixed reviews, yet it went on to win an Academy Award and is now widely regarded as one of the finest science fiction movies ever made. Alien had a significant impact, not just on the science fiction and horror genre, but also on the audience. A re-release has the potential to highlight the film's innovative directing and visual effects by drawing attention to how terrifying the movie was. Then Psycho. Cinema is a varied and multifaceted art form. Many films have earned a reputation for breaking new ground, whether in terms of the creative possibilities of cinema, contemporary norms, or plain decency. The film Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, is largely responsible for the enormous amount of leeway that was provided for pushing these boundaries. It features a brutal murder, a scene in which someone is also showering. In addition to this, it subverts the norms of traditional storytelling by ending the story with the death of the character who was intended to be the protagonist. Alfred Hitchcock is a renowned director, and the film Psycho is considered to be his most significant contribution to the film industry. Following that, A Fistful of Dollars. Even while the Western genre hasn't experienced much of a comeback in recent years, it is still an essential component of popular culture, and its impact can be seen in works of fiction as disparate as Star Wars and Breaking Bad. The spaghetti western is a type of Western cinema that is known for its popularity. These movies are produced in Europe but are set in the American West. There are particular spaghetti westerns that continue to enjoy widespread popularity all over the world. Without A Fistful of Dollars, the genre wouldn't be nearly as iconic or as well stocked as it currently is. This is the first movie in Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy, and many Rome culture people think it was the one that made Western movies popular in general. After that, Night of the Living Dead. Zombies are one of the most iconic monsters in the history of horror movies and fiction. fiction. They are able to stand in for an extremely wide range of phobias and provide the basis for a great many different narratives. George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead is largely responsible for the popularity of zombie fiction today. It is generally agreed that this movie was the first of its kind to be made in the contemporary era, and that it was the one that established the zombie film genre. The 2010s were the decade in which zombies enjoyed their greatest renaissance, and the decade's legacy is still being felt today. The ability for audiences to watch the first version of Night of the Living Dead all over again might be extremely beneficial. Fans are able to recognize the various ways the movie influenced other works of fiction, such as The Walking Dead and World War Z. In a similar vein, fans may examine what aspects of the genre have remained the same and how it can develop even more. Next up, The Wizard of Oz. The decision to make a movie in black and white these days is a straightforward artistic one, even though everybody knows that movies used to be in sepia at one point. Most moviegoers are used to seeing movies with bright colors. There aren't many movies that do a better job of capturing how significant it was for cinema to make the transition to color than The Wizard of Oz. It wasn't the very first picture to be shot in Technicolor, but it was one of the earliest and is still one of the most well-known examples of the technique. The transition from the monochromatic world of Kansas to the brightly colored world of Oz was perhaps the first time that many moviegoers had seen color on the big screen. For today's audiences, it is impossible to recreate the magic of that moment. A re-release of The Wizard of Oz, perhaps in conjunction with another picture from the same era, so that viewers can make comparisons, could be an instructive experience for the audience. And finally, Citizen Kane. There aren't many movies that represent such a significant step forward in the development of cinema as Citizen Kane. The movie is renowned all over the world for its groundbreaking cinematography, storytelling, and structural innovations. Citizen Kane was the source of inspiration for a large number of films, which in turn influenced a large number of films until its influence can be seen throughout the industry. It is agreed that Citizen Kane is one of the best movies that has ever been made, and many directors have pointed to it as a significant source of motivation. Even while audiences are able to appreciate Citizen Kane just fine when they see it at home, a re-release of the film in theaters may assist audiences to understand why it was considered to be so groundbreaking. That was the list. What other classic films would you like to see re-released? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.